So, a massive battle's brewing right now over who gets to write the rules for artificial intelligence in America. Seriously. On one side, you've got states like California and Colorado that are already passing their own laws to protect their citizens. And on the other side, you've got the White House reportedly gearing up with a plan to centralize all AI policy. This is setting the stage for a major constitutional clash. Okay, let's get right into it.
Some legal experts are not mincing words. They're calling the White House's reported plan a constitutional coup d'etat. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Wow, that is incredibly strong language, and it tells you right away that the stakes here are astronomically high. This isn't just about some boring tech policy. We're talking about the fundamental balance of power in the United States government.
So here's how the fight breaks down. The states are basically saying, hey, it's our historic job to protect our people from real-world harms. You know, like an algorithm denying you a loan because of some hidden bias. But the White House is looking at this from a totally different angle. They're arguing that having 50 different sets of rules, this patchwork they keep talking about, is just going to stifle innovation and put the U.S. at a huge disadvantage on the world stage.
And the weapon at the center of this whole thing? It's a draft executive order. And the title? Well, it leaves absolutely nothing to the imagination. It's called Eliminating State Law Obstruction of National AI Policy. I mean, you can't get much more blunt than that, right? This isn't just a suggestion. It's a game plan to completely sideline state lawmakers.
So, what's the official justification for such a huge move? Well, it's being framed as a matter of national security and economic survival. The argument is basically this. If American AI companies have to deal with 50 different rule books, they'll get so tied up in red tape that they can't innovate. They'll fall behind and will lose the global AI race, especially to China. It's a powerful argument that frames getting rid of regulations as essential for national security.
So you're probably wondering, how would they actually pull this off? Well, the draft isn't just some vague idea. It's a detailed battle plan with 3 very distinct strategies designed to systematically tear down any AI regulations the states come up with. Let's dig into the actual weapons in their arsenal.
It's kind of a classic government playbook, if you think about it. Step 1, sue the states. Use the full power of the federal government's lawyers. Step 2, hit them where it really hurts, their wallets. Cut off critical federal funding. And step 3 is a bit more subtle. You redefine what AI safety even means, undermining the very foundation of the state laws.
Okay, this is super important, so let's break it down. You can see how specific government agencies would be mobilized to get this done. First up, the Department of Justice would create a special AI litigation task force. Its one and only job? To sue states. Then there's the money. The Department of Commerce could hold hostage billions of dollars in broadband grants. That's money meant to get high-speed internet to places that desperately need it. And finally, you've got the FTC, which would be ordered to investigate states for trying to fight AI bias, claiming those safety rules are somehow deceptive.
So we've got the what and the how. Now for the who. Who is actually pushing this policy? And this is where it gets really interesting, because the key architects of this plan, well, let's just say they have a whole lot of skin in the game. At the very center of this, we find David Sacks. He's not just some bureaucrat, he's a huge name in venture capital, and he's been tapped as the White House AI and crypto czar. And that's the key, right? He is in a government position to shape national policy that could directly and massively benefit the very companies he's personally invested in.
And look, this isn't just hypothetical. Let's look at the specifics. Take one of his portfolio companies, CentiLink. They use AI and lending. Well, the Colorado AI Act is designed to regulate exactly that kind of thing to prevent bias. See the problem? If that law gets wiped out by this executive order, CentiLink could save a ton of money on compliance. It's a similar story for his other investments, like Glue, which would benefit if California's transparency laws disappear. And remember that threat to cut off federal funding? The guy who would be in charge of that is the Commerce Secretary nominee, Howard Lutnick. His firm has a massive stake in NVIDIA. We're talking nearly $1.2 billion. You know, NVIDIA, the company building the chips that are the engine of the entire AI industry. And while he's promised a blind trust for his assets, it would reportedly be run by his sons, which has a lot of critics asking, how blind is that really?
Okay, so beyond all the money and the politics, this entire strategy pushes right up against a massive constitutional red line. It really forces us to ask some fundamental questions about who has the power to do what in our system of government.
It all boils down to a concept you probably learned in civics class: federalism. The basic idea is that power is split. Washington has its powers and the states have theirs. And states have always had what's called police power, the authority to pass laws to protect the health,
safety, and general welfare of their citizens. So when Colorado passes an AI safety law, you could argue they're just doing what states have always done, just for a 21st century technology.
Now sure, the federal government can override state laws. It's a principle called preemption. But, and this is a huge but, that power almost always has to come from an actual law passed by Congress. An executive order, that's just the president acting alone. It's not a law. And that right there is the potential Achilles heel of this entire strategy.
So it all comes down to this one massive billion-dollar question. Can the president just do this, all on their own, with no authorization from the legislative branch? The whole plan really hinges on the answer to that.
And speaking of Congress, we don't even have to guess what they think about this. The Senate just voted, get this, 99-1 against a proposal to stop states from making their own AI laws. That's not just a lack of support, that's a giant flashing neon sign from Congress saying no. It shows the White House would be acting in direct opposition to the clear will of the Senate. So if there's no law from Congress, what's their legal Hail Mary pass here? Well, they're dusting off this old, kind of complicated legal idea called the Dormant Commerce Clause. The argument is basically that, even if Congress hasn't acted, a state can't pass a law that messes up business for the whole country. So the DOJ would go to court and say that Colorado's AI law creates a massive headache for companies in the other 49 states. Legally speaking, that's the horse they're betting on.
Okay, I know this can feel like a bunch of abstract legal stuff, but I promise you it's not. The outcome of this fight could literally affect whether you get hired for a job or approved for a loan, and it also goes to the very heart of how our country is governed.
So what exactly are in these state laws that they're trying to eliminate? Let's look. You've got California's law, which is focused on the biggest of the big AI models, the giant brains behind things like ChatGPT. It basically says to the tech giants, hey, you have to be transparent and show us your safety testing before you unleash this on the world. Then you have Colorado, which is more about protecting you and me. It targets high-risk AI used in things like hiring and lending, and it says companies have to try to prevent discrimination. So think of it as one law focused on transparency, the other on fairness.
And you can't talk about this without mentioning the political spin. There's a whole narrative being built, especially against that Colorado law, labeling it as woke AI. The idea is to reframe these anti-discrimination rules not as a consumer safety net, but as some kind of liberal political agenda being forced onto a supposedly neutral technology.
Okay, that was a lot, I know. So let's just boil it down to the 3 big takeaways you should remember. Number 1, this is a huge test of presidential power, and very possibly a constitutional overreach. Number 2, the goal here isn't to replace state rules with a better federal one, it's to create a vacuum with no rules. And number 3, the people driving this policy could get very, very rich if it succeeds.
And all of this leaves us with one massive, lingering question for the future. As this incredibly powerful technology changes our world, who gets to be the referee? Who gets to write the rules of the road? Will it be the states, acting as 50 different laboratories of democracy? Will it be the federal government with a single top-down vision? Or will it be the tech industry itself, shaping policy from inside the halls of power? The answer to that is going to define everything.